Okay, thank you so much. I am very happy to be here. I got invited here to talk to you about the horizons of artificial intelligence and the current landscape of AI. And we will focus in particular on certain phenomena that will make, hopefully, our work with artificial intelligence much easier. The presence of AI in business and organizations has obviously been very, very prevalent over the course of the past few years. But it is also true that we are now experiencing a very interesting revolution. And this is a revolution of simplification and collaboration with AI. And this is something I would like to tell you more about. I have been very nicely introduced already, and I think, I don't have to add much to that. Let me just say that I am popularizing the knowledge on AI for 10 years now, and this is pretty much the same amount of time that I've spent working in the academia and also as a consultant in various applications of artificial intelligence, in particular related to language processing. So everything that has to do with bots, everything that has to do with say all types of translations or building virtual assistants is sort of a domain of mine, of my research team that I am leading. And we have been very active in Poland for various sectors, but we've been also active quite globally as we have built alliances with the Center for Collective Intelligence at MIT, where I have done my postdoc, and more currently, perhaps, with Harvard. All right, so we said it already, and I think, it never gets tiring, but we are still experiencing an artificial intelligence boom. This boom has gone now through a different phase. So we can say that a couple of years ago, the boom was evolving sort of in a situation of a hype on artificial intelligence. Many people were speculating about how AI would behave, sort of would transform itself in the future, and to what extent it would impact us, what to do with it, and whether it's going to create dystopia, utopia, whatnot. And I do think that this boom currently is much more realistic. So everybody is still interested in artificial intelligence, but they became very practical about it, right? There's no other technology that is so close to the human mind and human perception, even human body, as artificial intelligence. There are other technologies that are just as promising in many other domains and can bring about multiple changes, but this one is certainly closest to us. But we can certainly say that AI has evolved into a couple of different subdisciplines. The most founding one, the most important one, is obviously machine learning. And here we have obviously more statistical approaches, certain statistical algorithms like regression classification, more supervised learning based approaches. And we also have deep learning. This is the discipline of AI that is most close, I think, to us, somehow mirroring the functions of our brain, although obviously there is no comparison between biological neural network and an artificial neural network in terms of structure and how it really works. But definitely the inspiration was there. So deep learning in particular, something that has started in 2010, is currently gaining a big momentum. We have enough data to feed it. We have the physical infrastructure to support it. We have computational power. And therefore, deep learning in some domains like text processing, image detection, voice detection, and a couple of others is really an extremely promising approach. Now, a discipline that I find very intriguing in artificial intelligence, and that is still a big question mark, is robotics. Everybody, when they think about artificial intelligence, often think about robotics because, well, robots are obviously very interesting objects. They are triggering our attention, but there are not that many AI-based robots out there. And now let's try and move on to what's going to be ahead of us. We can already see certain very interesting, palpable trends where it comes to when it comes to artificial intelligence, and I would like to mention at least a couple of them. So I would say that the first very interesting trend is certainly everything that has to do with realism, right? With the fact that AI is already delivering a very high quality. Here you see an exemplification of that. These are obviously not real people. These are synthetic characters that are created by artificial intelligence and will probably serve as some sort of influencers or maybe some sort of hosts. Now we see a situation where there are many different thresholds of accessing artificial intelligence. Nobody has to feel obliged to invent something new in the field of AI, but everybody can feel compelled and maybe interested to use it. So what we're seeing right now is probably something that you've been observing as well, and that is this low code and no code approach to artificial intelligence. No code is certainly a pathway towards more mainstream AI. And the fact I think that I'm seeing already right now is that people who would not necessarily be interested in artificial intelligence, say marketers, people from the sales departments in organizations, also HR, with this low code and no code approach where they, without programming, can play with artificial intelligence, build something and feel that they've achieved something, and maybe that's even helpful in their work, is something that will be a very, very important a trend in the future. AI is a part of a greater ecosystem, right? It's not working in isolation. It's not the only technology out there. It's in fact one of many different technologies, perhaps the one that is closest to us, but there are some others certainly that are just as powerful. Think about blockchain, think about sensors and the Internet of Things. Well, think about the metaverse, right? As much as I am hesitant about the metaverse, because I've spent 2 years of my life in the proto version of the metaverse, which was the Second Life. Maybe some of you still remember it. So I'm not so happy to go back there. But yeah, I think it's coming anyway, in one way or another, or maybe some forms of augmented reality are going to be in place quite soon. Well, AI builds bridges with these different technologies, right? It does not work in isolation. You want to reduce traffic jam, you need real-time data from sensors and a strong prediction machine. That gives us AIoT. In fact, it's a big technological bundle. And there are many examples of that kind where AI is part of an ecosystem that is really becoming more and more robust. Conversational AI today is really booming, right? So everything that has to do with bots and virtual assistants is really going through a period of very rapid transition. We've had bots that wouldn't understand a sentence and would just make very, very silly mistakes. And it was very easy to fool them. I was at the early part of my PhD very much inspired by the Turing test. And I found it very saddening in a way how easy it was to really create a situation in which a bot would not be able to respond at all, right? Because the sentence was just too loaded with context, right? Or was referring to another sentence and it would not remember it already because its memory is very short and it cannot manage dialogue in the long run. So that has been changing quite recently. We now have quite interesting new systems that are able to tackle lengthier conversation, embed context in the conversation. And these are all the so-called transformers, transformer architecture. So new types of algorithms that are very well catered to retrieving text, producing text, but also conversing with humans and translating and some other tasks as well. And there are a couple of different transformers, as I said. GPT-3 is certainly not the only one. There is also BERT, there's T5, there are a couple of others, there's AI21 Labs, and there is also an image generating system that, again, is a low-code system when it comes to the interface, and that's DALL-E. Maybe you have heard of it. It's actually a derivative system to GPT-3, again, by OpenAI. What it does is it uses language. So you, in fact, write as a sentence or a set of keywords or just a couple of phrases what you want it to draw. So if I say, I want you to draw a hairy soup, this is what I'm going to get, right? And if I write something very vague, like I did here, I just say A, what I'm going to get are very interesting images that are just as elusive, are just as secretive as this prompt that I have put that is very, I think, allows you for a wide open field of interpretations. So I know that graphic designers are currently thinking about, using this. Obviously, some of them are scared of it because it can produce really good images in different styles and it's style sensitive. But on the other hand, some of them are saying, wow, this is a collaborative tool that I'm going to use, and I'm going to take my expertise to the next domain with artificial intelligence. I'm going to make it next level art with a completely new tool. And that, I think, is a very good and interesting example of collaboration as well. What we are trying to look for, in our research work is this effect of synergy. So is it possible that when you use artificial intelligence in your business, right, and say, well, it's low code, no code, or any other AI, right, and you have your goals, like, again, segmentation of your consumers, or understanding better where the market would move, or spotting certain trends, or optimizing certain processes, can you do it better with artificial intelligence? And we got very inspired by a book by Thomas Malone. It's called Superminds. Thomas has been my boss at MIT for a couple of years, and he wrote this book about the surprising power of people and computers thinking together. So bridging our collective intelligence, which we know is always stronger than individual intelligence. Somehow, as a hive, we work better with the power of artificial intelligence. And I think in a way, we also have a normative stand here. So what we're saying is that AI should not take away your job. You should not delegate everything fully to AI. You should be in the loop, and you should be, in fact, in the center. But what could happen is bridging your competence and experience, professional experience, with artificial intelligence for greater synergetic effects. So we tried to build that nice process. And in fact, people are deciding themselves when to turn on that assistant and to what extent they wanted the assistant to intervene. Because maybe in some areas they just felt so good that they didn't want it. And guess what? We have arrived at a very interesting outcome, which is 40% increase in productivity of the group that worked with the assistant and not in isolation, and 60% of more happiness, more satisfaction at workplace for those people that were collaborating, working together with AI. So I think a bottom-up approach to artificial intelligence, where it's, again, human-centered and people choose how to use it, is a very, very good solution to go forward with mainstreaming artificial intelligence. And with that, I thank you very much for your attention. And obviously, I'm very happy to hear some questions from you.